Hey everyone, and welcome to the recap of day 4 in the Natalie Cochran murder trial. This is where Natalie Cochran is accused of poisoning her husband with a lethal injection of insulin. At least that's what the state is claiming. I, for one, have a hard time getting beyond a reasonable doubt. In this case, I have been wanting for professional medical testimony to tell me why they believe she did it. And yesterday, we got medical professionals to testify, and we got a toolmark expert to testify as well. But the medical was probably the most important people. We had Diane Krieger, who is an endocrinologist. That's a hard word. And she testified that he likely died from a severe brain swelling caused by hypoglycemia, the low blood sugar. But she couldn't confirm that it must have been an insulin injection because there was no test done at the hospital. So there was no test on the blood sugar. What she had was someone, the defendant, had told someone else that he had low blood sugar. She had 13 different possibilities what could have caused it. And she used, this doesn't really fit, this doesn't really fit, this doesn't really fit. But again, it was a possibility. It wasn't, this is concrete evidence of anything. She claimed that he had no underlying health issues or medication that could cause low blood sugar, that would support the state theory that she must have poisoned him with the insulin. But there was also, on cross, they found out that he had benzos in his system, which could potentially give you brain swelling. But she disagreed and said, well, the most plausible way is an insulin. So you can't prove it, but you looked at all the evidence and you came back with 13 possible positions that it could have been. And you found out insulin because there was a low level of potassium in the system as well. To me, it's just not enough. I have to say, I'm not convinced by this lady. She seemed very capable and she seemed very honest that she really didn't have the goods. She based it off, some of it was some study out of Iran, nothing with the same level of blood sugar or anything, but it was more like it couldn't have been anything else. But is that good enough to send a person away for life? In my opinion, I need more. We had a forensic guy, a toolmark guy, testify about the insulin vials from the Cochran's house, and one of them had a puncture mark and the other one had a tampered seal, is what he came back with. But it wasn't till years later they looked at this, and it wasn't found at the time of his hospitalization. It was found months later or weeks later. So again, is it strong enough to you that you would send someone away for life, that something in their house found months? We're not talking about a 45 millimeter shaped hole in their forehead and a 45 with gun residue on it. We're talking about a medicine product. We don't know anything really. And then we had the autopsy, and compare that to the first lady. He's the medical examiner, and oh my God, he wasn't even ready when we were supposed to start, which made me angry about him all of a sudden. But he claimed that he had exhumed the body 7 months after, and he couldn't determine anything because it was already decomposing. So what you have is a lady saying, well, it could only have been insulin because of the potassium level. But does that prove, even if it's an insulin injection, that Natalie did it? Could he have been experimenting with it? Because, as I've said, bodybuilders do use insulin. Could he has been, and I'm just speculating because that's what the state does as well. Is he just trying out to see, oh, I'll try some insulin with my test to see if it makes me stronger, and then overdose? That's as good an explanation as she must have done it, because their explanation why she must have done it is she was afraid he was going to spill the beans on the Ponzi scheme, but they haven't said anything other than the opening statements that he knew about the Ponzi scheme. And just because you steal money doesn't mean you steal lives. That's my big problem in this case. Today, we will have the lead investigator and an insulin expert more that was hired after the first trial was put down because they didn't have enough evidence. Then they wanted to exhume the body again, get this expert on it. Maybe they have some concrete evidence that can show me 100% he could only have had this reaction because he had X amount of insulin, which she must have given him because something. Because so far, probably had insulin in his system. Can you prove she did it? Right now, I'm not convinced enough that I want to send a woman away for life. But 9 a.m., we're going to jump on the train again, wait for the court to not figure out how to do technical stuff. State is supposed to rest after the last two witnesses. That's the rumor from court. So you better be there or be square, because now we have to hear what the defense can do to take it away. But the state still have some lifting to do for me to find her guilty.